Shepparton's Damien Stevens has, you might say, inadvertently become the face of the moment for the same-sex marriage movement after perhaps unexpectedly becoming newly not wed over the weekend to partner Chris Todd. Damien, good morning.
Good morning.
Well, you went to Federation Square to kind of join in with a lot of people who are supporting that push for same-sex marriages. You kind of were saying not wed. You did go through a marriage ceremony. Did you expect that was going to happen?
Indeed I did. I noticed it said unplanned, in some of the articles, but then I sort of, sniggered to myself a little, driving 200 kilometres to Melbourne, both of us dressed up in suits. It took a little bit of planning to get that to happen, certainly.
Naturally enough. The ALP National Conference didn't come out with a recommendation that you wanted? No,
unfortunately. But nonetheless, we all gathered, all 4,000 of us in the city, 65 couples among that 4,000, up on the steps at the registry office, saying the vows and the I do. And yes, as you said, newlywed but not. I guess with the hope that in the not too distant future that it can be legal.
You were, as we say, you were hoping that they were going to make that recommendation, which they haven't. What do you do from now? Do you keep? Well, you keep on lobbying, I suppose, because that's what you have been doing. But Anthony Albanese, senior government minister, I think he's quoted as saying it's inevitable that it's going to happen in this country. Is he a new poster boy?
Yes, I agree. I believe it is inevitable. There's always and continues to be a consistent push forward for the movement. We doubled our numbers last year, 2,000 last year at the same rally, 4,000 this year. Rallies right across the country. I believe it is inevitable. It will happen.
Why do you think it didn't happen?
Why? I guess many groups out there and individuals too. Although it's only a minority now, 40% of the population, are against, and 60% of the population are for gay marriage. But there is still a group of people out there who don't want it to happen. And my belief would be that the government doesn't want it to go ahead for their own reasons. Perhaps it's political, perhaps it's financial. At this point, that's their decision.
1300 147 222. Maybe you'd like to give us your thoughts on as to whether we are ready for it as a community and whether you'd be happy to see same-sex marriages go ahead. So, Damien, what do you think? Are we ready for it? Forget the politicians, but as a community, do you think we are ready for it in Australia?
Absolutely, I believe we're ready. Down in Melbourne on the weekend, 4,000 of us were there. I can honestly say I did not see one protester there to protest against us. Everyone there was filled with excitement. They were happy to celebrate openly. For the same demonstration years ago, we'd all be in jail, or, there would have been a whole lot of kerfuffle. Everyone here locally in Shepparton, the people I work with, friends, family, even people I don't know, have shown their support. We're in the Shepparton News again on page 3 today. Happy family with our little dog, Elizabeth Taylor. Everyone's been really positive. Haven't heard any negative feedback towards me at all.
And the Sunday Age yesterday on the front page. Why is that? Do you think that you and your partner Chris particularly have received all this attention and made the newspapers all over the place?
It's a good question, and Chris and I honestly didn't expect this type of publicity. Chris and I went down to Melbourne for the purpose of rallying. As you said, lobbying is important. Our decision was to be there in the crowd strong of 4,000 people to simply, make the message clear that we should be allowed to be married just like the rest of the country. And on the steps of the registry office, there we were. Suddenly the cameras were flashing, and we were very happy to, as you say, be the pin-up boys for gay marriage. Unexpected, unplanned, but nonetheless a privilege. And it was fun and exciting and a great celebration.
One thing that did come out of the ALP National Conference, not an endorsement for same-sex marriages, but I think the removal of the prerequisite of line that it's a union between a man and a woman. Is that a win?
I think it's a win. Again, it's perhaps one of many small token gestures. Don't get me wrong, great that they've occurred, but that's why we need to still keep lobbying for total equality. Couples are couples, and being partly equal or somewhat equal is not the same as being equal, and that's where we need to be.
In the local area, through the Goulburn Valley region, and you hail from Shep. Are we homophobic? Are we accepting? What's your assessment?
My assessment is that everyone, as I said, in my own life and those people I come in contact with are not homophobic. I guess, but then again, I wouldn't choose to associate with homophobic people. At the same time, though, as I said, any new people I meet, whenever I tell them I'm in a same-sex relationship, have been in, live in country Victoria, talk about my life proudly, great family, supportive, everyone in my life, thinks it's great, and I don't think there's any problems at all. In Shepparton and surrounding regional areas, don't get me wrong, there's a need for social groups and support groups and people to feel safe and be, have access to people that are on their side, I guess. A few people out there still have narrow-minded views, but there's still a place for support.
Got an interesting question for you, Damien, from Chris, who's called in from Corryong. Go ahead, Chris.
How you doing, Joseph?
Good. Let's hear your question.
This is a bit something that's puzzled me for a while now. Generally, marriage in all forms has its basis in religion. Now, I'm confused on why a homosexual couple want to partake in a tradition coined by a group of people who, for thousands of years, has persecuted them.
A reasonable enough question. I don't think I've heard it posed before. Damien, what do you think?
It's an interesting question. I had someone yesterday say a similar thing about entering into slavery for the rest of my life by becoming married. As a practicing Christian myself within the Uniting Church, I still have a relationship with God. As a homosexual man in a same-sex relationship, I'm still very much a part of the church. I work at a Uniting Care organisation, and it's about the perception of how it's seen by myself versus how others see it, and how I choose to live my life and who I have relationships with and my faith are all a part of who I am, not just my sexuality.
So you're obviously happy with the relationship that you have with your church at the moment, and you want that church to endorse your union with your partner for that reason?
Absolutely, absolutely.
All right, that's interesting. So forget about the history where there has been some persecution in the past?
Well, not forget about it. It's all part of the, the stones that have paved the way forward. But, just like we learn from our mistakes, there's always a way forward, and I think we're heading in the right direction.
All right. Interesting. Damien, thank you very much for being with us this morning. All the best to you and to Chris, and we appreciate your time.
Thanks, Joseph.
Damien Stevens, as we say, maybe inadvertently finding himself the face of for the moment, of the same-sex marriage movement in Australia after making headline news, Sunday Age yesterday, and a few other news reports around the country as well. Your thoughts on same-sex marriages? Did the National ALP Conference get it right in not endorsing them, or should they have? It's right on 10:30 local news time.